Hello, hello, hello. Hey guys, how you doing? Live here again, as I told you before. I'm going to be trying to do at least 3 live trainings every week. 3 live talks, not really so much training, but just talking about some things that come up, some of the things that I see happen a lot, and some things that you guys asked me to talk about. So, hey, Tanya, how you doing? Um, So, as I said, we're going to give still about 2 or 3 Mississippi to let everybody get on. I know people are, hopefully, you guys planned it, put it in your schedule to be ready for this. And remember, Friday is going to be about 2 hours later. Trying to find a good time that works with everybody's schedule, but also works for me so I can be on here and give you guys some good, valuable stuff and learn a little bit more about me. If you haven't already, there's a podcast that I posted in the group. And that podcast, I was able to explain a lot of stuff about Boss Consulting so that you guys get a better understanding of what I'm trying to do and who I am. Sometimes when you talk to people or you read stuff about people, that's not really who they are. In these podcasts with these guys interviewing me, it's really cool that I'm able to explain a lot of stuff in detail. And you get a better sense of what I'm trying to do. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and check out that podcast. Posted it in both groups, and I'm going to post it on my page also. So take a look at that. Just kind of get a better idea of what Boss Consulting is trying to do and what I'm trying to do in general. So make sure you guys also in the group take advantage of the days. We have a lot of every day there's something special going on. So make sure you take advantage of that. Marketing, sales, information, greeting people, just general topics. Really take advantage of that information that we're going to be putting out and that you can put out to help other people also. So that's just a couple of things. Remember the class coming up on the 21st. So make sure you register for that and make sure you get everybody registered that you can. Going to give some good information, good tips on how to be a sales beast, how to get on that phone or even in person and make magic with your words. I was going to say mouth, but that would sound kind of funny. So that's upcoming also. We got a lot of great things coming up as far as with Boss Consulting, the group here, and a lot of the projects we're putting on. A lot of great things going to be happening. And as you guys can see, I'm really excited. Still in my planning. Planning is about to start in a few days. And I have my notebooks just sitting around here ready to take down any ideas, any new information that I can come up with so I can plan. And if you don't plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you got to plan these things out. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. One of the things that another term or what you want to call it, something that people say a lot. It's a term people use to kind of focus and bring people's attention back to themselves. They call it the shiny object syndrome. Okay, so shiny object syndrome, as they kind of say it, is so that you keep your focus on one thing, trying to focus. And I've always had an issue with that as far as being focused on things. And when I was younger, I always thought I was the crazy person because all the things the other kids were doing, it just didn't seem to interest me. They were focused on sports and cars and all these other things. And I was actually kind of focused on money and time. So I was kind of the black sheep of everybody. They used to go out and race and play games. And I was sitting in the house, playing Monopoly, trying to figure out how to buy Boardwalk and stuff like that. And as I grew up, I understood that I didn't think about the same things people did. I was a dreamer, and sometimes that dreaming, comes at a detriment to people. They say, oh, you're not focusing. Oh, you're not paying enough attention to this one thing. And this is some of the terms I hear even when they talk about this shiny object syndrome. So for me, when people are talking about somebody having shiny object syndrome, it's not just that they can't focus. It's that they don't finish, okay? Shiny object syndrome for me means You say, ooh, this is great, and you run over here and do this. And you say, ooh, this is great, and before you finish this, you run over to another spot and do something else. And ooh, something else is great, and you run over here and see that. So shiny object syndrome for me is that you don't finish. But all of us have been, traveling sometimes, and when you're driving down in that valley, but have you ever remembered when you came up to the top of that mountain and then looked over into that valley? You could see everything, couldn't you? Now, if your destination was on the other side of, let's say, that valley, there's a whole bunch of things in between there. So in order to get actually to the end destination, you do have to actually see all those points along the way. So instead of basically having what you say, shiny object syndrome and a focus, what I try to help folks to do is what I call gazing. Okay, so you got to get to that mountaintop area, which we're coming to right now, which is the planning phase. Get to that mountaintop experience and then look over and see where you're wanting to go. Once you see where you want to go, there's a lot of stuff in between there. Maybe on the way you're going to hit, when you look into the city from the mountain, you can see McDonald's, you can see Burger King, you can see Radio Shack, all these other businesses, all these other things along the way. Now, just because you see those things doesn't keep you from getting to the end journey, but maybe those other pieces are markers along the way. Because if you don't plan out your route to get to the end, then how are you going to get there when you get back down in the valley? Once you get down into the valley and into the city, now you can't see because everything's around you blocking you. So what I try to make sure you guys understand is that when you get onto that top area, to that mountaintop time, now is the time to plan. Now is the time to put all that stuff together on paper and plan your next mountaintop experience. But in order to get to the other mountain, you got to go through the valley. So in order to make it through the valley, you got to set a plan. So now you put your plan together, you put all these ideas and things on paper, and should you just go straight down into the valley, go do it? No. Bring that plan, bring those ideas to somebody who's already been to the other mountain or who's already sitting over there, because they could tell you a lot of shortcuts, a lot of things that you can avoid while you're in the valley. This is one of the steps that we mess up. I know I did when I was younger. I just figured I could do everything myself. I can do it all. I can do it all by myself. I'm going to make it to the other side. But once you get down in the valley, get down in the weeds, man, it's hard. You can't see. And what makes matters worse, especially if you don't have anybody you can call, nobody who can help you. So before you get down into that valley situation, run that plan by somebody. Let somebody else talk it through with somebody so they can make sure, hey, you don't have to go to this spot here. You can go around it. You can go to this area and make it there quicker. This is the purpose, once again, of having someone to talk to, a mentor, a friend, a coach, whoever. But tell somebody about your plan, your goals, so that you can make sure you're making the right decisions. Because once you get down in that valley, man, it's hard. It's hard. And if you have somebody that you talked to before about your goals, about your plans, now if you get to a roadblock, you can call that person up. Hey, I know you told me to go over here, and I'm trying to get here, but there's a roadblock right here. What do I do? That person who's on the other mountaintop can tell you, turn left here, go back here, and now you get back on your route. So it's not a problem of people looking at too many things. That's not the issue. Seeing far, having a vision, and not just the narrow focus. Because you see, what happens if you focus, let me show you. You see, if you focus on me right here, you don't see this. So if you just focus, you miss all the other things that's coming around you. So start trying to gaze and see everything that's in front of you. Also, when you need to focus, you will. Put your head down, grind, But until then, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes up and seeing where you're trying to go. Make a plan to get where you're trying to go. Don't just focus on one thing, because you might miss all the things that's coming around you that could help you actually complete the task and get to the next mountaintop experience. If you're only focusing on the first part of the trip, what happens if something comes available to get to the second part, to the second stop? This is what I'm trying to tell you. Most of these gurus who tell you, oh, don't have shiny object syndrome, all they're trying to do is get you to focus on them so you can pay for the next product. Because most times they'll tell you to focus, but then they give you 17 different things to purchase. Or they'll tell you to do 15 different things in here. No, it's not about just focusing on one thing. It's about knowing where you're going, the plan you're trying to get there, the steps you need to take, and being open to everything that happens in between that time of you hitting your goal and all the stuff that happens in between. Because once again, you never know what's going to happen unless you've got your eyes up. If you're not looking for other opportunities, other things to happen to get you there quicker, you'll never get there sometimes. Because when you get stuck in those weeds, you won't be able to see anything with no one to help, no one to call you. Now that's why you're fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, trying to get out to the next mountaintop experience. So what I advise and what I ask you guys to do, man, is take this time of planning. Really sit down, plan where you're going to go in the next 10 years. That's your next mountaintop experience. 5 years, backtrack that. 2 years, backtrack that. 1 year, backtrack that. And then make a plan to accomplish those goals in that year. Now, the plan could change. As I said, when you're driving, you might have to make a turn you weren't expecting. Or you might find a quicker route. But as long as you have the goals, the same destination, you can make it multiple different ways. There's many ways to get to a goal, but you still got to have the goal. Okay, so take time to plan. Don't get caught up with these guys with this shiny object syndrome. But I do want you to finish. Get to the next place. That's a finish line. Get to the next place. That's the finish line. Get to the next place. That's a finish line. So don't get caught up with too many things that you don't finish. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about being wishy-washy and half-assed, as my mom used to call me. But what we're talking about is actually having a plan that includes multiple things, multiple destinations, multiple possibilities to get you to the same place. That's not shiny object syndrome. That's called good-ass planning. You plan to accomplish the goal. There's multiple things that you can do. So let's just give you an example. If you had a plan to make, or you had a goal to hit $1,000 a month within the next 3 months. Okay. Now, to make $1,000 extra a month in the next 3 months, you can do one of many things. Let's say you start doing some more overtime. That's one way. Maybe you start selling some additional items in the house. That's another way. Maybe you take a second job. That's another way. Maybe you start selling some information you have online. That's another way. Maybe you start closing deals for people. That's another way. There's many plans and possibilities to get to the goal, but you got to have the goal first. You got to have the goal first. So take the time now to gaze, figure out your plan, figure out what you really want to get. And don't just make it about money. Money, it has to be something tangible too. Don't just say, oh, I want to make $1 million in 10 years. Yeah, but what you going to do with that $1 million? When you get it, you're just going to keep it in the bank. You're just going to stay there. You're going to take it and paper your wall with it. Make your 10-year goal something tangible that you can touch, something you can do. And then your 5-year goals, here's a good tip here, should be the numbers that you need to start purchasing those 10-year goals. All right. So if you want to have 100,000 or 100 rental units and it's your 10-year goal that's making this amount per month. At 5 years, how much is that going to cost you? How much do you need to have in the bank to actually get to that goal? That's something now you can work up towards, a tangible end with an intangible method of getting there, and the motive coming up. So start that plan, start that planning situation, start actually looking to see how you can get to your goals. And you got a whole lot of time. The planning season is from 22nd September to the 5th of November. You got a long time to plan this. Make sure you sit down, get some good stuff on paper. About by the halfway point, start solidifying some things. Start running these plans and ideas and goals by people that you trust, and see if it's okay. Because sometimes, the stuff that comes out of my head, I got to ask somebody else, because, I have some crazy things pop up sometimes. But I have a mentor. I have multiple mentors actually that I call and say, hey, this is what I'm planning. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do this. What do you think? And then they will give me their feedback. Yeah, this is a good idea, but maybe have you thought about this? Da 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 da. So those real mentors who are there already, who've already done what you're trying to do, they can give you the advice you need to make it to where they are or where you want to go. Because if you haven't gone there, how can you really make a good plan to get there? That's kind of silly, right? Everybody who's ever planned a trip already knows that. When you want to plan a trip, you type in all this information, you try to find good routes if you're driving, and you try to find the best ways to get there. But what would be even better than that? Call up a buddy who's already been, and they could tell you, oh yeah, don't go do this, turn here, stop at this city. Hands-on experience and actual person who's already done it is the best thing to do, the best information to get. Your brain only has so much information. You have only accomplished so much in your life. So stop relying all on your brain. Incorporate some other people's ideas into it. Incorporate some other brains into it. If you only just rely on your brain, you've only been here for a short period of time. You've only done a certain amount of things. So use the experience of other people. Duplicate, emulate, then originate. Always the easiest way to do stuff. Duplication. Just find somebody else who's done it. Really simple. Okay? So I hope we kind of got this whole shiny object syndrome thing out of your brain. And I really want you to take time to gaze. Take time to look over everything that's possible and look at your destination. And there's many ways you can get there. It might be closing. It might be starting your own business. It might be adding some to your marketing budget. There's a lot of different ways to hit your goals, but you gotta have the goals. You gotta have the goals. Look out and find the things that's in the way or in the path to get to where you want. Maybe this next step is very achievable. Maybe it's hard. Plan it out, figure it out, and get to there step by step. But don't do this. Don't put your blinders on to the rest of the world. Don't put your blinders on to the universe, because you can't see what they're trying to give you if you're only focusing on one thing. Don't get caught up focusing on one thing, because there's so much out there. Know your goals. Know what you're trying to do. But stay open to see everything that's around you. My son used to walk around when we be in a group and we walking somewhere. He'd just put his head down and just look at the ground. And I would say to him all the time, son, put your head up. What are you looking for on the ground? And he says, well, I'm just looking right here in front of me. But if you don't look up, everything in front of you, you can see it far off. Same when you're driving. Why are you going to turn your head and look at something, possibly have an accident, when you can gaze in front of you and see it as it's coming towards you? Okay? It's the same principle. Don't get focused and caught up so much in one spot to where you can't see your help. You can't see your options. You can't see what's going on around you. This is what I'm trying to emphasize to you. So, shiny object syndrome, of course, I don't want you guys not to finish things. But what I wouldn't want you to do worse than that is just focus on this next little step that you're going to take and miss the big objective that you could get to because you put so much time, so much effort, so much into something that might not even work right there. Maybe there's a workaround. Maybe there's something else you could have done. You know, everything you try to do is not going to work. That's another tip for you. Everything I did didn't work. Everything your mentor tells you to do is not going to work. But you can, long as you still know where you're trying to go, you can still get there. Long as you still have a plan, you can still get there. If you focus and put all your attention, all your energy, all your effort onto one thing or one person. People fail people. I fail myself. I said there's 3 people I got to deal with every day. Me, myself, and I. And 2 of them, I got to watch them because they're always messing up. So people fail you. Programs don't work. Cars break. All these things happen in life. But as long as you know your goal and your destination, you still can get there. There still have hope. When you get into that hopelessness, is that you're putting everything onto one thing. People got lots of different terms for it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, all these, a lot of different crap people say. But what I'm saying is, don't focus so hard on one thing, one operation. Take time to look at all the options around. Make good decisions that will lead you to your next spot. Okay? That's what I'm trying to focus on today. So, shiny object syndrome, bah humbug. Gaze. Take time. Take this mountaintop time that you're about to come over and gaze at where you're going, all the stuff, all the beautifulness of the world and possibilities that you have. See your destination and pick your route through the valley, because once you get in that valley, it's going to be some rough times. But if you need help, you should have somebody to call while you're in the valley. You don't have to be by yourself. If it's a friend, if it's a mentor, if it's a coach, if it's a parent, if it's a sibling, whoever it is. But have somebody who you can talk to, who can bring you and help you get to the next spot, and who you can talk to as you're going through those valley moments, so you can make it to the other peak, because that's where we're going, to the next 10-year mountaintop. Get those 10-year goals down. Make that plan. Talk to me. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you need in the group, in the comments. Thank you for your time. That's all I got. And remember, guys, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Boss out. Y'all have a good evening.